Just that answer alone, it's why your book is so good. Because it's almost like 8 seasons of Game of Thrones in one book. Because there are these strains, right, where you're talking about William, the Bastard, the Conqueror, whatever you want to call him, both awesome names. He's kind of in the background for a lot of this. And just all of these names, right? It's this person is this person's son, but their grandson, but it's their cousin. But, oh, by the way, the lords are actually stronger than the king at this point.
Right.
And you have William the Conqueror in the back, like the big bad over the whole thing, where you just know sooner or later. And I mean, especially of all the people in the book, I think you do a great job with William the Bastard, then Conqueror, of showing just how he had to take his licks, and he was, since the cradle, he was trying to survive, and he learned how to do that. And it almost felt like, of course, we know what happened, but it was almost a fait accompli. If he set his sights on you, he'd taken down bigger and better. He was going to take you down.
Yeah, I mean, I make a point of that. He had such a hard life. I mean, his very life was in the balance in his childhood. When his father died and passed the dukedom to him, all the other barons in Normandy basically said, well, he's just a kid. Any one of us can, assert ourselves and take the dukedom. And at first they thought that whoever held William as more or less of a captive could just run the dukedom in his name. And eventually, when it turned out that William was becoming stronger and stronger as he grew into manhood, they decided we can't do it that way. Somebody's going to have to kill him. They tried to do that multiple times. I mean, there was one scene where a killer broke into his bedroom where he and his one of his retainers were sleeping and killed the other guy. And William managed to get away. I mean, death was hot on his heels. There were multiple rebellions. He had to fight his own barons to subdue them. And once he had done that, his ally, the King of France, decided that Duke William, although William was the Duke to the King of France, so he was technically, lower down the rank, he was getting too powerful for his britches. So the King of France actually invaded Normandy a couple of times, and William defeated him every time. The beginning of the book, he hasn't even been born yet. But by the time he gets to the end, I think, at least I hope that I got it across how he was really forged into probably the top military man in Western Europe at that time. I mean, there was nothing he hadn't come up against.